mindset shift. Failure is your teacher. Failure often arrives quietly, slipping into our days without a sound. Imagine this scene. A young man in his early 30s, wearing his best shirt, walking out of a tall office tower after a job interview. His heart is heavy. Inside the building, he had stumbled over his words, forgotten the polished answers he had practiced the night before. Now, in the soft drizzle of late afternoon rain, he clutches a folder with his resume and wonders if he has failed not just the interview, but perhaps himself. He takes a seat by the window of a small cafe, where the steam from his untouched coffee blurs the glass. Outside, life continues to rush forward. People with umbrellas hurrying past, taxis honking, shop doors swinging open. But inside him, everything feels paused. This picture may not be his alone. At some point, all of us have walked out of a room carrying disappointment. It might be an exam we could not pass, a presentation that went wrong, or a relationship that fell apart. For those between 25 and 40, these moments can feel especially sharp. You are expected to have it figured out, to be strong, to keep climbing. Yet beneath the polished surface, the truth whispers, failure hurts. But hidden beneath the sting, another truth exists. Failure is not always an ending. Sometimes it is the very beginning of a new mindset. It is an invitation to learn, to adjust, to grow stronger than before. Welcome, then, to learn English listening. I am Lydia, your guide through both English phrases and life lessons. Here, we practice language while uncovering wisdom that stays with us far beyond today. And now, I would love to hear from you. Where are you watching this from, and what time is it right now? Failure may sit beside you today, but together, we will learn how to see it differently. In the years between 25 and 40, life often feels like a balancing act performed on a tightrope. There are careers to build, bills to pay, relationships to nurture, and unspoken expectations pressing in from every side. This is the age when you scroll through social media and see friends celebrating promotions, traveling to distant countries, or buying their first homes. Their smiles shine through the screen, while inside, you may carry the weight of missed chances, unfinished goals, or repeated mistakes. The pressure is real, and so is the silence we often keep about it. Failure, in this season of life, carries a unique sting. It is not just the loss of a job opportunity or a project gone wrong. It is the fear that you are falling behind while everyone else races ahead. It is lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if you are already too late to make things right. Sometimes it is the shame of admitting to others, I tried, but I didn't succeed. Other times, it is the quiet voice inside whispering, maybe I am not enough. Yet here lies the paradox. The very moments that make us feel weakest are the same moments that can become the birthplace of courage. To speak honestly about our struggles requires bravery. To admit failure is to step into vulnerability. And vulnerability, far from being a weakness, is the soil where resilience takes root. Think back for a moment. Have you ever felt stuck in this same way? Have you experienced that heavy pause where you were afraid to try again because failing once already hurt too much? You are not alone in that space. Many people, even the most successful ones you admire, have sat in that same silence. The shift begins when you dare to ask a new question. What if failure is not the end of your story, but the teacher guiding you toward the next chapter? There is a mystery hidden inside every failure, though most of us walk past it without noticing. We see the closed door, the rejection, the stumble, and assume that is all there is. But imagine for a moment that failure is not a wall, but a locked gate. On the other side lies growth, wisdom, and unexpected opportunities. The question is not whether you will meet failure, but whether you will find the key to open that gate. Here is the hidden truth. Failure itself hands you the key. The very thing that feels like a loss is often the beginning of a breakthrough. What makes the difference is not avoiding mistakes, but learning how to interpret them. And that is where language can guide us, not just English as a subject, but English as a way to frame our lives. Consider the simple phrase, learn from. When you say, I learn from my mistakes, you take ownership of your story. The failure does not define you, it teaches you. Every missed chance becomes a lesson carved into memory. Now look at grow through adversity. This phrase reminds us that growth is not found in comfort, but in the challenges we survive. Adversity is like a storm that bends the tree, but also strengthens its roots. To grow through adversity means to let hardship shape your character. And finally, embrace failure. To embrace does not mean to celebrate pain, but to accept failure as part of your journey. When you embrace it, you take away its power to shame you. You say, this is not the end. This is part of me becoming stronger. These three phrases, learn from, grow through adversity, embrace failure, are not just language lessons. They are mindset lessons, waiting for you to apply each time life sets a challenge before you. And when you begin to apply these words, you notice the change. Learn from makes you pause instead of panic. Grow through adversity pushes you to see strength where you once saw only weakness. Embrace failure gives you permission to breathe and start again. Together, they create not only better English skills, but also a stronger way to live. So the key is simple. Shift your perspective. What you once saw as defeat may, in truth, be the very doorway into your next chapter. There is a story of a woman in her late 20s who dreamed of starting her own business. She invested all her savings, poured her energy into long nights, and told her family, this will work. For a year, she worked tirelessly, and then, slowly, the cracks appeared. Customers stopped coming, bills piled high, and soon the dream collapsed. When she closed the shop's doors for the last time, she felt like she was closing the door on herself. For months, she could not talk about it. At gatherings with friends, when people asked about her work, she forced a smile and changed the subject. Alone at night, she replayed every decision, every mistake, asking herself, how could I have been so foolish? Her failure became a shadow that followed her everywhere. But one evening, after months of silence, she sat with a mentor who simply said, failure doesn't define you, it refines you. Something shifted. She realized that every wrong turn had taught her more about business than any book or course could have. She learned where she had trusted blindly, where she needed help, and where she underestimated her own strength. The collapse of the business did not erase her abilities. It revealed them. She did not rebuild overnight. The journey back was slow, marked by hesitation and second guesses. But each small step became proof that she was not finished. The very failure that once silenced her now fueled her determination. Looking back, she saw clearly. Without the fall, she would never have discovered the resilience hidden inside. Here lies the turning point. When we admit our vulnerability, when we speak honestly about the pain of failing, we open the door to transformation. Failure becomes less like a verdict and more like a refining fire. It burns, yes, but it also clears away what does not last, leaving only what is strong and true. And now I turn to you. If you could change one habit this week, what would it be? Think of the small shift that could move you from repeating old mistakes toward embracing new growth. Think of a garden after a storm. The sky is gray, branches are scattered, and the soil is soaked. At first glance, it looks ruined, but beneath the surface, the rain has nourished the roots, preparing them for new growth. Failure works in the same way. On the surface, it feels messy and destructive. Yet deep inside, it waters the soil of your soul, planting strength where you thought only weakness lived. We often picture failure as a cliff we fall from, but it is more like a valley we walk through. The valley is quiet, humbling, even lonely. Yet in that valley, lessons bloom. You learn patience when progress feels slow. You discover resilience when the path feels endless. You uncover humility when you realize you cannot control everything. Reframing failure is about changing the lens you use. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" The first question keeps you in the storm. The second helps you see the rainbow after it. So when you face your next setback, remember, failure is not trying to crush you. It is trying to shape you. Like the wind that bends the tree but makes its trunk stronger, failure bends you only to prepare you for the growth that follows. Healing begins the moment you no longer see yourself as broken. Like the earth after rain, you realize the storm has prepared you for fruit you could not yet see. Failure reframes your vision, reminding you that every scar is evidence of survival. And survival, when honored, becomes the seed of future courage. Your story is not over. It is simply being rewritten with deeper wisdom, stronger roots, and a future that will thank you for not giving up. At the end of every story about failure, there comes a choice. You can carry it like a heavy stone in your pocket, weighing you down with regret. Or you can hold it in your hand, turn it over, study its shape, and let it teach you something new. Both paths are open. One keeps you where you are. The other invites you to grow. You have already walked through the rain, stood in the valley, and felt the sting of disappointment. But today, you stand at a crossroad. To your left is comfort, the path of never risking again, of staying safe, of avoiding the possibility of falling. To your right is growth, the path where you try once more, where you risk stumbling, but also discover strength you did not know you had. Remember the 3 phrases we shared: learn from, grow through adversity, embrace failure. They are not just English expressions. They are guideposts for life. Each one points toward courage, resilience, and hope. So I ask you, gently but firmly, at this moment, you stand between comfort and growth. Which path will you take? If this video gave you something meaningful, share it with someone who needs encouragement today. And subscribe to keep walking with us on this journey of English and self-growth.